25 years ago, I promised my wife I'd paint her this sign. Today, I finally get to keep that promise. Let's get cracking before she changes her mind. So today I'm using One Shot Imitation Gold, which, as you'll probably see, is more of a golden yellow than a gold. And the brush today is a series 1315, size number 5 from Wrights of Lymm. It's a pure sable long-haired chisel. So you're probably asking why it took 25 years to get around to doing it. Well, the honest truth is I just got a bit busy and it just sort of got mentioned from time to time, but I've just never got around to doing it. So what you'll see when it's all done, it says Hassle Castle. The phrase Hassle Castle comes from when our boys were small. So if you're a parent, you'll realise what it's like having a house full of small kids. So we just used to call it Hassle Castle. So the colour and the font were chosen by my wife. So she loves this colour. It's quite a traditional colour that I used to use on lots of pub signs back in the day. And the font is called Night Brush. So what we do while we're painting is we do alter the pressure of the stroke, so the pressure that you're putting onto the brush onto the surface. And this makes the width of your brush change depending on the amount of pressure you put on. And in another video I talked about the mail stick and keeping the mail stick away from areas that you're working on, and how I did that. I said I set my mail stick to know that it's not going to touch those areas. I didn't really demonstrate that for you properly. So what I mean by that is so when you're positioning yourself in front of a letter, your hand for a right-handed sign writer, sign painter, will be slightly to the left of where you're looking. So what I would do then is I would position my hand where I'm going to have it for the stroke, and then lengthen or shorten my mail stick in there so that I know that when I put it on the surface, it's not going to touch anything. And as always, getting the consistency of the paint is crucial. Too thin and it'll be very transparent and it'll slide along too much. Too thick and you've got an uneven finish and it'll drag too much. It'll cause you all sorts of problems. So you've got to get that just right. Something I've not talked about much, well, at all, I don't think, in any of the videos that I've produced so far, is fatigue, hand fatigue, which is a very real issue that not a lot of people think about. So when you're doing this hour after hour, your hands and your shoulders and your wrists can get tired. And now, for me in particular, and probably others as well, having arthritis doesn't help. What you've got to do is make sure during painting sessions, when you're not actually painting, during the other moments, there's other things you'll be doing, is to make sure you loosen up so you can keep that rhythm going when you're painting. Also, when you're working on an easel like this, I paint now sat down. I used to paint stood up, but I can't stand for long periods of time now with the arthritis and everything, so I paint sat down. And it's a bit of a different technique, but what I tend to do is I'm set here, painting here, so rather than me move along all the way, I just move the sign and place that in front of me like that, and it's nice and easy. You'd have different movements for controlling the brush. What you do for, in general, for detail, it would be more wrist movement, and for long sweeping strokes, more arm movement. Also, making sure you load the brush properly for the section you're about to paint. Hand painted signs carry imperfections that create warmth that you don't get with a computerized digital sign. Each brush stroke is permanent, so it forces you to be confident. There's no undo button. And Signwriting's like problem solving in real time, reacting to how the paint changes. Remember as well to always mix enough paint for the entire job. Only seems like a small thing, but trust me, if you haven't prepared and got yourself enough paint ready, it is going to cause you problems. Not so much where I'm doing this in a controlled studio, but if you're on site and you're painting and you haven't mixed enough paint to do the whole job, then that's going to cause you some issues if you're up working at height, or even if you're not working at height, it can cause you issues. And it takes as long to prepare enough paint for the job as it does to prepare not enough. It can be a lonely job, this as well. You spend many a time on your own, no company. Suits my personality anyway. I quite like being on my own. I like the peace and quiet. The longer you've been doing this, the brush seems to respond to what you do. It's all muscle memory. It's all just hour upon hour of repetition, building up that muscle memory. None of us were born to be able to do this immediately. We all had to learn and practice hour after hour after hour, and it's the only way. Like anything, if you want to get good at something, repetition. And of course, the more you do this, the more signs you paint. Well, every sign teaches you something new. And you'll be going along and all of a sudden you'll think, oh, I couldn't do that before. And it'll just click. When that happens, you end up walking away from that job with a smile on your face, because you can now do something easily that you used to struggle with before. And trust me, that happens to all of us. I'd love to hear in the comments, for people who have been signwriters for years, I'd love to hear some of your stories, some of the funny jobs you've been on. We've all got them. Well, if you've enjoyed watching this video and you'd like to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button. And don't forget, leave a comment and let me know how you're getting on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.